Well, here's a tractor I've never taken a video of on this channel. This is a 1953 Allis Chalmers WD45. I bought this tractor with just one intention, and it was to make a tractor where my girlfriend and I could take it in parades and ride together safely. So I bought this out of Gibsonburg, Ohio, off a dealer lot over there. It didn't look quite like this when I bought it. I'll insert a couple pictures here. And I'll tell you a little bit what I've done with it, and hopefully we can take it and do some plowing later today. But to start out, this has all new tires, at least new tires to this tractor. I did some buying and selling with some other tractors, and that's how I got these tires. Those are actually rear rims off of a D17, so they're 2 inches wider than the factory, and they fit a 16.9 28 tire a lot better than a 12-inch wide wheel. Put the wheel weights on, rewired everything, put a mini alternator, fabbed up this bracket here, had to machine the pulley to the factory belt width, and cut and welded the tensioner bracket so it's 1/2 inch narrower. But some other miscellaneous things, I had to reroute the fuel line. Somebody had it routed around the outside, but put all new wiring on everything. Pretty simple setup with the 1-wire alternator, light switch and stuff like that. I was able to swap this battery box off another tractor I had. Made new hydraulic lines and put on it. Some miscellaneous stuff here and there, adjust the brakes. I changed the hydraulic fluid, check your timing, check the valve, lash, all that stuff. Just make sure everything's mechanically sound, check all the fluids. Eventually I'd like to drain and flush out the rear end and the final drives and the hand clutch, all that. But for now, everything there looks good. But the main thing anybody who's had a WD or a WD45 was going to notice is this thing's got a set of steps up front, and it's got a double seat. It's got a bus seat on it. So I fabricated all of this. The part of this step was from that 7030 over there when it had a cab on it, had a full vision cab. These steps went along with this. Originally, this top one, there was also a matching lower one, but it hung down like an extra 5 inches, and I wanted to make sure there was enough ground clearance so it didn't bottom out and hit anything. But this is all some 3/8 plate I had. There's a gusset up in here. It rests on this bracket to keep anything from twisting when you step on the lower part to get up. Mounts to these top 2 transmission bolts. Not sure if I can get up underneath here. And then you can see there's a flange down there, and it mounts to where the original footrest went that would have came on the tractor. But everything works. It's real easy to get on and off of. Probably the easiest WD or WD45 ever to get on and off of. To put this seat on, I did have to make spacers. These are 1.25 inches per side to space it out so I have room, the seat doesn't rub the fenders. The seat brackets are custom made. They mount into the final drive bolts. And then this bus seat, there's tubing welded in that I split the seat in the middle and put a piece of tubing on each side and some stops, so that way this hinges up and down. Keep critters off of it sitting in the barn, and if it rains, you don't get any water on anything. It had a 3-point hitch on it. I made this top link bracket. It's kind of a hobby project, kind of way overkill. It's built to category 2 specs. Clamps on the lift rock shaft bar there, but it's nice. The whole hitch is set up as a category 2, so I went with a category 2 for the top link as well. It's a pretty nice setup. It doesn't utilize the draft control, which is okay. It was on there when I got it. Where the original seat mounted, I added this light to mount. There was a dual hydraulic remote setup that was in the way, and I still have it, and I may plumb it back in if I ever have a use for it, but as of right now, the single line would be just fine for anything I'm doing. And a slow moving vehicle sign bracket you can pop off. Just a simple bar with a twist bolted in there. This is a pretty tight tractor. Doesn't have a ton of drawbar wear on it. Everything is pretty tight and pretty smooth. The lift cylinders are nice. Engine runs really good. Having the valve cover off and stuff, I can tell that somebody's been inside it and has rebuilt it probably fairly recently. Did the repack the wheel bearings, stuff like that. The shift tower, with this being an early one, it only has one alignment pin, so this was very sloppy side to side when I first got it, and made a new pin and welded up and machined the shifter, put a new bushing in the steering. But yeah, it's overall it's a pretty straight, nice tractor. This front grille you can see is a different color of paint. Somebody has, well, they put a dent in it, but they decided Bondo would be the best way to fix it, and they made it worse just to get the Bondo to hold. But overall, it's a pretty nice tractor. I'm happy with it. It's probably one of the better or best WD-45s I've owned, so I think it'll work great for the purpose I built it for, or modified it for. But I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna hook up a plow over here. I got a 3/16 plow, snap coupler plow, and we're gonna go ahead and see how it does. In order to set this up to use draft control to use the plow, we have to screw this adjustment out of these plates, that's combining the plates together, and into this block. And this lower one here is currently screwed into the block. We have to screw it out so it can float freely. And then I have to check my adjustment on this lever here to make sure I've got the correct sensitivity for the draft control. In this tractor, when the plow pulls hard, it pulls on this bell, which then comes up here and compresses a spring in there. And when that spring compresses, it pushes on this rod, which will then push on this and allow, this actually has spring tension, but it will push this up and allow this to rotate, and it'll lift the plow slightly under hard pulling conditions. I'm also going to have to take off the aftermarket 3-point hitch, so I'll have to take off the lift arms, the pull arms. The drawbar has to come off regardless, and I'm also going to have to take off this bracket where it mounts underneath. There's quick change 3-point adapters, and there's stuff like this where you can still use the drawbar. This is nicer for all around, but if you want to switch back and forth to snap coupler equipment, this is not ideal. But the worst part will be taking off the 4 bolts to get the main cradle out. These come off really easy. One pin down there, slide it out, just pick it off. Now the only thing left is to pull that cradle out. So for this, we've got these 4 bolts, 2 on each side, and we'll be ready to hook the plow up. Remember, everything's a hammer if you believe in it. Alright, so there you go. The 3-point hitch adapter is removed. Here you can see what you're working with under one of these tractors. You have a bell and an eye that will come on the implement, and this is spring loaded and it'll hook onto it. And then that large spring I was talking about is right up in here. And when this pulls backwards, this pushes that spring in and allows your drive. Alright, let's head out and get the plow. So here's the plow I'll be using. It's a 316, I believe it would be a model 63 Allis Chalmers plow. Like I said, you have the snap coupler bell, and this is the eye I referred to, snaps in the bottom. And these go right into your lift latches, and you pick it up off the ground. So I'll set you up and you can see it hook up. Alright, I've got it all hooked up. I've never had this plow on this tractor, never plowed with this tractor, and it should fit, but I do worry that with this double seat, the top clearance is close. It's close with a 3-point top link as well. There's plenty of room, actually. It looks closer than it is. This is all just baggy foam back here, so no worries. And when it's moving around, it'll be down low. Looks like my wheel spacing is set up pretty good. Go take this in the barn, we'll grease the coulers up, and we'll go give it a whirl. I had this plow out last year on another tractor with similar sized tires on it, so I think it'll be set up pretty decent, but we'll see what's going on. And we're off. Couple blue herons over there, I think. Some kind of long, lanky birds. Over the river, or creek you should say, and through the woods. To the field we go. So right here is the patch we're going to be plowing. Just this sand ridge right here in this corner. I'm going to run tile through this part later on this spring. So I'm going to go ahead and start there, pace it off, and we'll go back and forth and try to end up with one dead furrow in the middle. there's the first furrow, and I'll pace it out and we'll get going. Well, that went all right. It was more turns than plowing, I think. Little short section, but I was able to test the plow out with this tractor and everything seems to work all right. This tractor does not have quite the power of the last couple that I've had. The last couple, one had an M&W kit and one of them had a kit out of a 175, I believe. They both had about 150 pounds of compression. This one here is right around stock, right about 130. Doesn't have quite the snort the other ones did, but it runs good. The furrows would lay a little bit nicer if I could run it in third gear, but I couldn't hardly make the turns on the ends in second gear, so third wasn't an option. But everything is running good. The engine's running cool, has good oil pressure, no weird noises, clutches seem good. I'm real happy with it. It definitely could use some front weight. I've never plowed with one of these with a narrow front end, and I suspected it needed some weight. I may build I've got some suitcase weights. I may build a front weight bracket, or if I can find some front wheel weights, I'd really like those. But yeah, everything worked out real good. So thanks for watching.